Okay, so today we're talking about what is Search Console, why you need Search Console, how to set up Search Console, and a brief overview of Search Console. So what is it? It used to be called Webmaster Tools. They are the same. When someone says Webmaster Tools, they mean Search Console. It is a Google platform. It informs you of the health of your site and informs of how your site is appearing in Google search results. More specifically, it's for setting a preferred domain, telling Google which version of your site you want to look at, indexing your site through a sitemap, viewing when Google crawls your site and how often, making sure your robot's text file is okay to allow Google to crawl your site, checking your internal and your external links, listing any crawl errors that Google encounters, and seeing which keywords people use to get to your site. Telling you whether or not you have structured data and how it's implemented, if it's correct. Demoting internal links that Google is promoting for some reason. Notifying you of any manual penalties from Google. Telling you if your rich cards and snippets are configured correctly. We are not going to cover these things in any detail because this is an introduction. So it's free. It's pretty comprehensive. And there are similar tools, but many of them are pay and don't provide this kind of launch pad to diagnose problems with your website. If you don't use Search Console, you will have to do this manually, and that means looking at your source code, looking at individual pages, and searching for your site using a proxy or different IP addresses. So you just need a Gmail account, and you can see that how to do that in my Google Analytics presentation at that YouTube address. Just pause it if you need to write it down. You go to webmaster.google.com. Your site should be up. Your site should be accessible to Googlebots. So you go to webmaster.google.com and you click on the big green button. And then you just put in your site there, in this little box there. As you can see, I've done that. And it's a little different if you already set up one site. The button's over on the side, but it's the same process. So there are 5 verification methods. You should use the analytics method because if you link the 2 accounts with one Gmail address, it will be instantaneously verified. HTML file upload requires FTP. HTML tag requires a plugin on WordPress. Domain name provider requires that access. And Google Tag Manager is complicated. So you should use your analytics account rather than any other method. See? Simple. Just you get a green check mark. But there's no data available. That is because Google hasn't crawled your site enough. If this error does come up in the future, sometimes it will appear like this. You should just come back in like 4 to 8 hours check. So you need to add variations of your site. You should add site.com, www.site.com. If you're using SSL, which you should be, add site.com with the HTTPS and the same with the www. Google treats all of them as distinct, and then you set your preferred domain. So now you can ensure your site is accessible to Google search and therefore visitors. Google can recommend actions to improve your presence. You can see recent search analytics. You can see improvements you can make for your HTML markup. You can see your backlinks, which are very important. You can get notification of any manual penalties, which hopefully you'll never get. You can test certain pages to see if Google is finding them in its indexing. You can submit your sitemap to speed up indexing and tell robots where your pages are. There's a lot more. So here, you can see this site is searchable. Here are the messages that Google sends you. Here are some examples of messages. Improve the search presence of RileyHaasMarketing.com. Recommended WordPress update for RileyHaasMarketing.com, and so forth. There's lots of information you can see in the menu on the side there. So here's the analytics, for example. They're way less detailed than Google Analytics, but you can still look at them. It's more keyword oriented here. Here are some HTML improvements you can make, fixing duplicate or missing tags, for example. Here are your backlinks. In this case, there aren't any, so I'm going to switch sites. Here are backlinks. And you can drill down and see individual pages links, or sorry, individual sites to you. And then mobile issues, your crawl status, any block resources you have. If you want to remove any URLs from search, crawl errors, 500 errors, 400 errors. You can see any pages. And here's where your sitemap is, what's been indexed.